Part 38. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 373. Chapter 373 It's over, kidnapped. 371. While He Tiantian and Qi Zhenmin were having a great time, Qi Zhengan was thinking about He Tianatian's words. What made He Tiantian feel that things in the world are scarier than horror movies? He was getting more and more curious. He Tiantian felt a little uncomfortable in Qi Zhengan's eyes, and hoped that Qi Zhenmin would finish it quickly so that she could sleep better. In this case, Qi Zhengan can leave. After finally finishing it, Qi Zhenmin still wants to read it. He Tiantian stopped and said, "Zhenmin, you can't watch it? It's almost 11 o'clock now. If you don't go to bed, you won't have the energy to play tomorrow. If you want to watch a horror movie, you can go home and watch it instead of traveling. It seems that you are putting the cart before the horse a bit." "But I'm not sleepy." Qi Zhenmin whispered, "Let's watch another one." "No, sleep," He Tiantian insisted. "If you want to watch, I will go to grandma's place and sleep with her." Qi Zhenmin liked to sleep with He Tiantian. He pouted and said, "Okay then." Qi Zhengan stood up, kissed Qi Zhenmin's forehead, and then looked at He Tiantian. He Tiantian pretended not to see it and went directly into the bathroom. Although it was a normal goodnight kiss, He Tiantian couldn't accept it. Qi Zhengan was a little disappointed and ran away under his sister's playful eyes. After He Tiantian came out of the wash, Qi Zhenmin slowly went to wash up. He Tiantian pretended to be asleep and didn't want to talk to Qi Zhenmin, a little talker. "Once I start talking, I can't stop." Qi Zhenmin slept well and said to He Tiantian, "Sister Tiantian, I know you didn't fall asleep so quickly." "I've fallen asleep," He Tiantian said, and after saying this, she regretted it to death. "How can you talk when you are asleep?" Upon hearing this, Qi Zhenmin whispered, "Sister Tiantian, I find that my brother likes you more and more." He Tiantian pulled up the quilt and covered her head without saying anything. She hoped that time would pass quickly, and she wanted to go back as soon as possible. Although life here is very good, she doesn't want to go back with a lot of debt. Although she has no intention of hurting other people, in matters of love, it is rare for two people to be happy, and most of them are wishful thinking. Seeing Sister Tiantian like this, Qi Zhenmin stopped talking and sighed like a little adult, saying, "The falling flowers are deliberately flowing and the water is ruthless." "You, a little girl, act like a love expert," He Tiantian said in confusion. "Don't say that again in the future. I regard your brother as my brother and I have no other ideas. Actually, my brother is very good." Qi Zhenmin felt sorry for his brother. "My Yingzhi brother is better." But He Tiantian was too embarrassed to say this. "It seems that I should go back early after a while," He Tiantian said slowly. "We didn't get along for a long time. In addition, Qi Zhengan is a very young man. If we don't see each other for a long time, we will forget this green feeling." "Okay, Sister Tiantian, I won't say anything anymore." "Don't leave so quickly." Qi Zhenmin knew that he had said the wrong thing. Love is a matter between two people. Even if she feels sorry for her brother, she can't force her sister Tiantian. At the same time, Qi Zhenmin became even more curious about He Tianatian's fiancée. What kind of person could capture such an outstanding Tiantian sister? When she wanted to ask again, she heard He Tiantian snoring slightly next to her. "Hey, let's not talk anymore. I'll find an opportunity to ask about it later." The next day, they began to visit the remaining shops and scenery in a planned way. The whole family is very happy. Midway, He Tiantian and Qi Zhenmin went to the bathroom together, where a cleaner was cleaning. The two of them entered the compartment respectively, and at this time, several jets of gas were sprayed out from somewhere. Qi Zhenmin fainted. "No, someone is plotting against them." "Gilug." He Tiantian fainted before she could finish the summoning spell. ruined. This was He Tian's only thought before she fainted. When he woke up again, He Tian was sore all over and his hands and feet were tied. He Tian looked around and saw Qi Jinmin lying not far away, with his hands and feet tied tightly. This is a relatively clean room. There is no peculiar smell or dust in the sky. From the light coming through the window, it can be inferred that it is already 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. What kind of place is this? He Tian muttered. It was obvious that no one answered her at this time. Gilu me. He Tian began to call the Snake King, hoping that the Snake King could think of a solution. The Snake King, who was practicing, heard He Tian's call and asked lazily, "What's the matter with you?" "Snake King, did you really not see it, or did you pretend you didn't see it?" He Tian said angrily. "I have been kidnapped. I don't know where I am. Where is the person who promised to protect me?" Only then did the Snake King notice that He Tian was lying on the ground pitifully with his hands and feet tied. "Why did those people kidnap you?" Snake King asked, but as soon as he said this, he realized that it was a bit redundant. "How do I know?" He Tian frowned. "Besides, I have no enemies here. How could someone kidnap me?" The Snake King was embarrassed by He Tian. It has absorbed a lot of spiritual energy recently. It felt that the danger was over, so it took in all its spiritual consciousness and devoted itself to practice. That's why something embarrassing like today happened. "By the way, are you the same group as those who targeted Qi Shuliang before?" The Snake King changed the subject, not wanting He Tian's attention to stay on the stupid question he made before. "It's possible," He Tian said. "Maybe it's those people." "How to escape?" "Shall I help you untie the rope first?" the Snake King said, about to cast a spell on He Tian. He Tian thought for a while and said, "Okay, I'll leave it to the Snake King." The Snake King cast a spell and successfully untied He Tian's rope, saying, "I'll check out the situation outside first, and you take a look at that person first." "Well, thank you, King Snake." He Tian thanked him and did as King Snake said. Gently walking to Qi Jinmin's side, He Tian pushed Qi Jinmin's body, hoping that she could wake up as soon as possible, but Qi Jinmin didn't respond at all. Only then did He Tian realize that it might be that Qi Jinmin's physique was not as good as hers, so she woke up earlier. Seeing that Qi Jinmin couldn't wake up, He Tian stopped shouting and quickly untied the rope from Qi Jinmin's body to make Qi Jinmin more comfortable, hoping that she could wake up soon. If she ran away, she would carry Qi Jinmin on her back instead of Qi Jinmin running by himself, so she would come faster. After a while, the Snake King said with embarrassment, "We all guessed wrong. It was not a simple kidnapping case, but a simple kidnapping case. They are calling Qi Shuliang over there, asking for a ransom. But their names, the first thing is the revenge on Qi Shuliang." Selling dog meat on a sheep's head, He Tian stabilized without thinking, but soon realized that her metaphor seemed wrong. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 374. 372. The Snake King was stunned. He didn't expect He Tian, who always spoke thoughtfully, to have such an unreliable metaphor. If it were normal times, the Snake King would definitely laugh at He Tian, but now that He Tian and Qi Jinmin are in danger, it is not in the mood to make fun of He Tian. Yes, it was a relative of Anna named Cress who kidnapped Qi Jinmin. "You were just unlucky to follow Qi Jinmin, which brought disaster to Chiu," the Snake King explained. "That person was very cunning." He Tian frowned, thought for a moment, and asked, "Since they are relatives, maybe they are seeking money." "Yes, they have called Qi Shuliang and asked Qi Shuliang for a ransom of $10 million. If they don't give the money, they will break up the vote tomorrow." "That Cress just asked someone to call Qi Shuliang," the Snake King explained. "The matter is clear and we can leave now." "How many people are there outside?" "Can we leave?" He Tian asked, as long as we are still in Cress's hands, Uncle Chi and Anna will only throw in the towel and dare not call the police. It's okay now, but you have to carry Chi Jinmin on your back all the way, the Snake King said. As for opening the lock and using spells to confuse them, I will do it. That's great, Snake King, He Tian said in surprise. With Snake King here, he is not afraid of anything. It was just what the Snake King said that made He Tian hit rock bottom. The spell that confuses them only lasts 5 minutes. You are carrying Chi Jinmin on your back. Are you sure you can run out in such a short time? The Snake King asked. When they woke up and just came over, they found you running away and chased you in the car. You may not be able to escape. Ah, He Tian was stunned. There was only 5 minutes, and he could only run out 500 meters with one person on his back. Then are we still in the town we visited before? The Snake King shook his head very humanely and said, no more, we have arrived at another town 40 kilometers away from the town. It is very hidden, and those people are very cautious, so if Chi Shuliang sent people to look for it, we would be able to find it within a short time. You won't find it here. By the way, Snake King, can we become invisible during the day? He Tian asked. If we can become invisible, it can make up for the shortcomings of slow speed. No, Snake King said, only at night. He Tian walked around the room, weighing the pros and cons, and finally stopped and said, they will collect the ransom tomorrow morning, so they will not embarrass us tonight. Even if they break up, it will only be after they get the money. In this case, we escaped at night, we were slow, but if we could be invisible, we would have a great chance of escaping. The Snake King thought for a while and said, okay, let's tentatively make this plan and take action at night. Just then, someone was heard approaching the room. Lie down quickly, someone is coming, Snake King reminded. He Tian hurriedly lay down in the original place, and with the help of the Snake King, he tied his hands and feet again. However, they were all loose buckles and could be untied with a gentle pull. With a click sound, the heavy door opened. He Tian was lying quietly not far from Chi Jinmin. Boss, this girl is very decent, came an obscene man's voice. No, said another relatively calm man, absolutely not, at least not until the ransom is returned. By the way, we can only touch the older and smaller girls, no one can touch them. He Tian felt sick and must run away. Boss, are you really ready to put them back? The obscene man asked, didn't you agree to fly away? Haha, New York is so good, why should I leave? The man said, anyway, now that we have money, we can live happily anywhere. As for worrying about being discovered by the police, that is simply a joke. There are so many cases in the United States every year, and they cannot be investigated. We will be more careful and we will not leave any clues. We can still stay here and be at ease. After hearing this, He Tian cursed in her heart, there are many unsolved cases in country M every year, but now you have kidnapped people who should not have been kidnapped, so you are destined to be unlucky. The footsteps were getting closer and closer, and He Tian, who was pretending to be unconscious, felt very nervous. These two people must not touch her. If he touches her, He Tian will definitely not be able to bear it. In this case, the previous plan will be in vain. In addition to these two people, there are people outside, so they won't be able to escape. The man squatted next to He Tian, stretched out his hand to touch He Tian's fair and smooth face, praised him, and said, Boss, look at this woman's skin. It is very smooth and tender, just like the eggs we eat in the morning. Same. This beautiful metaphor was so disgusting coming from this obscene man's mouth. He Tian decided to stop eating hard-boiled eggs in the next month after getting out of trouble. Stop, the man yelled, I say it again, you can't touch any of them until you get the money. Even if he wants to touch her, he has to wait until he gets the money and kills these unsightly guys who share the money with him before making any move, and he has to personally train this delicious woman. The obscene man reluctantly retracted his hand. I just suddenly felt that my finger was bitten by a mosquito, but I didn't pay attention. Click, click. A series of sounds of taking pictures. He Tian guessed that these people probably felt that the phone call was not enough to convince Qi Shuliang and others that he had these two women, so they took pictures specially. 5 minutes later, the two men took the photos and left the house. Silence returned to the room. He Tian opened her eyes, untied the rope by herself, and quickly wiped her face with her sleeve. It was so disgusting. Snake King, after we escape, I really hope that man's hands will rot, He Tian said coldly. If she didn't have the help of the Snake King, she would be abused by the obscene man sooner or later. More than just the hands will rot, the Snake King gritted his teeth and said, it hadn't touched He Tian's face yet, but it was touched by such a bastard. Damn it! He will die miserably. He Tian looked at Qi Zhenmin and asked, why hasn't Zhenmin woken up yet? Don't you think it's better if she doesn't wake up? The Snake King asked back, when we escape at night, I will use magic and you will become invisible. We can't explain to her, and I don't want her to know about us. He Tian thought for a while and said, okay, let her sleep, I'll carry her. Wait until we escape and are safe, and then wake Qi Zhenmin up. Well, that's great, the Snake King said, then let her continue to sleep. The waiting time is even more unbearable. From the sunlight shining in from the window, He Tian judged that the sun is about to set. As long as it gets dark, we can take action. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Qi Xing Cao. Chapter 375. At night, He Tian was hungry, but no one gave them food. Those people thought that the drug they used could keep He Tian and Qi Zhenmin unconscious, so there was no need to come over to deliver food. He Tian looked at the time on her watch and asked, Snake King, can you take action now? At this time, there was a burst of dynamic and intense music outside, and the sound of some people drinking. That's it, the Snake King sneered. He thought of a wonderful idea. Perhaps he could make these people kill themselves without the police. He Tian untied the rope from Qi Zhenmin and carried Qi Zhenmin on his back. There was only a click sound, and the lock opened. Seeing the scene was so horrifying that He Tian couldn't find any suitable adjectives for his peaceful memory in his previous life. Hurry up and leave, Snake King reminded, how long does this woman want to see? Only then did He Tian remember that they were not out of danger yet. Under the cover of the Snake King, he walked out of the door. This was a 3-story villa. It took He Tian almost 2 minutes to reach the door. Go out and go to the right, Snake King reminded, go to that forest. You can hide in there now and wait for me. Ah! King Snake, won't you come with us? He Tian was stunned and asked quickly. Leaving without teaching them a lesson is not my king's way of doing things. Come on, stop dawdling, the Snake King said angrily. How long has it been? You are still whining. Do you think you can escape danger by doing this? Oh, He Tian agreed, and quickly carried Qi Zhenmin to the east, doing as the Snake King said. The Snake King turned his head and looked coldly at the villa behind him. Those people in the room are even more crazy. Damn it! Damn them all! The Snake King turned around, turned into a ray of golden light and disappeared into the room, catching up with He Tian. However, before the Snake King left, the Snake King did not forget to create a way for He Tian to escape. This was done to show the police. The lock in the room where He Tian and Qi Zhenmin were detained was good. The window is open. A rope was tied to the window, which was torn from sheets and connected together. The length was just right on the ground on the first floor, and even left He Tianation's footprints on the wall. "Come out, we can go," the Snake King said softly. He Tian carried Qi Jinmin on her back and walked on the road with the Snake King. "Snake King, what did you do when you went back just now?" He Tian asked. "Are we safe now?" "I just took the opportunity to do some tricks. It's nothing." "Don't ask any more questions." The Snake King didn't want to say more. It wished He Tian could forget all about such a scene. He Tian nodded. The Snake King didn't want to say anything, so she didn't ask and just left here as soon as possible. "Where are we going now?" He Tian asked. "Back to the tourist town, or back to New York?" The Snake King did the math and said, "It's closer to New York, probably 50 kilometers away, but we have a small police station 30 kilometers away." He Tian nodded and said, "Okay, let's travel overnight." After walking about 5 kilometers, He Tian was carrying Qi Jinmin on her back. She was a little tired and asked, "Snake King, there is no need to be invisible now. Can you wake up Qi Jinmin and let her walk by herself? I can be more relaxed." "Yeah." The Snake King cast his spell again. Qi Jinmin woke up slowly, his confused eyes without focus. It took him a while to see He Tian clearly in front of him. "Sister Tian, I seemed to be fainted." When Qi Jinmin saw He Tian, he thought of the situation when he was about to fall into coma, and held He Tianation's hand tightly. He Tian patted her shoulder and said, "Don't be afraid, we were kidnapped, but we have escaped now. Now that you are awake, let's leave quickly." Qi Jinmin felt slightly relieved after hearing He Tianation's words. He looked around and asked, "But it's so dark and we don't know the way. Where are we going?" "I passed a road sign just now. If you walk along this road for about 40 kilometers, you will arrive in New York." He Tian said, "Let's go, stop standing, maybe those people will notice that we are missing. Will come after us." Qi Jinmin originally didn't want to leave, but after hearing He Tianation's words, he didn't dare to be lazy. He followed He Tian and took He Tianation's hand forward. "Sister Tian, shall we take a ride?" Qi Jinmin saw a car whizzing past her, and the skin on her feet was broken and it was very painful. He Tian had thought about stopping a car before, but it was particularly dangerous for two girls to hitchhike at night. "No, it's too dangerous." "How can you be sure those people are good people?" He Tian asked. "It was better to rely on yourself." "But Sister Tian, you can't be sure that everyone is a bad person," Qi Jinmin refused. Her feet hurt too much and she couldn't stand it anymore. He Tian looked at Qi Jinmin and said, "You forgot, we just escaped from those bad guys. If we get into another bad guy's car, we won't be able to escape again." "But my feet hurt." Qi Jinmin whispered, "Why don't we rest here and take a ride during the day?" He Tian looked around and asked again, "Aren't you afraid of mosquitoes drinking your blood?" Qi Jinmin was stunned. There were indeed many mosquitoes in the suburbs in summer. "Okay, then let's move forward," Qi Jinmin said with a bitter face. This was the first time she had been so miserable since she had grown so big. "Don't be afraid, I'm still with you." After He Tian finished speaking, he pulled Qi Jinmin and continued walking forward. In fact, Qi Jinmin didn't know that at this time, no one outside could see them at all. The Snake King did not remove the invisibility spell on them. The road was very dark, and He Tian and Qi Jinmin kept walking forward. When you feel tired, rest for a while, feel better, and then move forward again. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 376. 374. If you keep walking, although you are very tired, your feet will be numb. If you stop to rest, you will no longer be tired, but your feet will hurt. After walking about 10 kilometers, Qi Jinmin could no longer walk and sat down on the ground. "Sister Tian, I can't walk anymore." I really can't walk anymore, Chi Jinmin said while crying. This little journey is nothing to He Tian Tian, but it is a bit difficult for Chi Jinmin. Okay, let's take a rest now. He Tian Tian stopped. It happened to be a road sign, which showed that they had walked 18 kilometers. Leaning against the pillar of the street sign, Chi Jinmin groaned in pain. He Tian Tian helped her take off her shoes, which made Chi Jinmin scream in pain. Chi Jinmin leaned on He Tian Tian, groaning in pain, but he was able to fall asleep. As for those mosquitoes, drink, you don't have to worry about so many anymore. He Tian Tian took off her outer shirt and wore only the tank top underneath. She waved her shirt to help Chi Jinmin drive away mosquitoes. Hurrying, He Tianation's movements became slower and slower, and after a while, he also snored. The Snake King lay behind He Tianation's shoulder and looked around warily. It had consumed too much mana today, and it was worried about it, so it stayed outside. When I woke up, it was already slightly bright. He Tian Tian looked at her watch. It was already 4:30 and wanted to wake Chi Jinmin up. When her eyes fell on Chi Jinmin's feet, she was stunned. They were covered with blisters and were almost swollen into steamed buns. Now that it's daylight, it's relatively safe to hitchhike. He Tian Tian stood up, put on the shirt she had thrown aside, arranged her hair randomly, stood on the side of the road, and followed the method of hitchhiking on the road that she had learned when she was learning English. Standing on the side of the road, he stretched out his right hand and made a fist, giving a thumbs up. Maybe He Tian Tian was too embarrassed, or maybe some people were in trouble and no one stopped. Finally, when it was daylight, more cars passed by, and everyone's eyes unconsciously fell on the beautiful woman who wanted to hitchhike on the roadside. Although he was in a very embarrassed state, he could not stop He Tianation's beauty and graceful figure. Finally a car stopped in front of He Tian Tian. But as soon as that person opened his mouth, he said something particularly annoying, "Are you from country and smuggled here?" Although the hot words were annoying, when the man stopped, He Tian Tian couldn't give up this opportunity and said, "We are not illegal immigrants. My sister and I were kidnapped. Fortunately, we escaped. I hope the kind gentleman can send us to the nearest police station. When our families come, they will thank you." The man looked at He Tian Tian up and down, then looked at Chi Jinmin who was motionless not far away, shrugged and said, "I'm sorry, I have something else to do." After saying that, the man stepped on the accelerator and drove away. Damn it! Isn't it said that the people of M country are of high quality? With this quality, there is no way to compare with the people of H country. Although we people in H country do not have cars, the simple people will drive people to the police station even if they drive cattle. Forget it, He Tian Tian shook her head and continued to stand on the roadside, asking for a ride. But when He Tian Tian wasn't paying attention, the Snake King cast a bad luck spell on the car. Haha, there would definitely be a car accident within 10 kilometers. After another half an hour, one of the cars stopped and asked He Tian Tian if he provided special services. He Tian Tian smiled bitterly. Was she just like a refugee, a lost woman? Just when He Tian Tian was furious, a dilapidated pickup truck stopped in front of He Tian Tian. A middle-aged woman with brown hair and some freckles on her face leaned out of the window. "Need help?" the middle-aged woman asked with a kind smile. He Tian Tian was stunned and nodded quickly. "We need help very much. My sister and I were kidnapped. Fortunately, we escaped. Please send us to the police station. Our families will come to us. When the time comes, we will repay you." "Oh my God," the middle-aged woman exclaimed, "what a poor child. Jimmy, you and Amy sit down inside and I'll go down and take a look." When I was middle-aged, when I passed the carriage behind me, I took out 2 bottles of water and a small medical kit with a 10 mark on it, and walked over quickly. "Is that your sister?" the middle-aged woman asked, with concern on her face. "Yes, this is my sister, madam," He Tian Tian replied, finally meeting a kind person this time. The middle-aged woman first took out a rag, poured some water on it, and wiped Qi Jianmin's swollen feet. Qi Jianmin woke up from the pain and saw someone bandaging her wounds, and tried not to cry. The middle-aged woman gave Qi Jianmin medicine, and then said to He Tian Tian, "You help me hold the medical kit, and I will carry her into the car." With that said, the middle-aged woman put something in He Tian's hand, hugged Qi Jianmin and left. He Tian followed closely and got into the car. The middle-aged woman asked Jimmy's boy to sit in the front and said, "You can sit in the back with your sister in your arms." While talking, the middle-aged woman fastened her seat belt on her 9-year-old daughter Amy and got into the car. "We're leaving soon, are you seated securely?" the middle-aged woman asked, turning to look at He Tian. "Sit tight already," He Tian said, "thank you." "You're welcome," the middle-aged woman asked, "any mother who sees the situation will stop and help." Qi Jianmin was also very moved and said, "Madam, where are you going?" "I found a job in New York, so I brought my children here." The middle-aged woman smiled, "There is a cart full of our things behind us." "There are my toys there," Jimmy laughed. "Madam, my name is Angela, and my sister's name is Jenny." Qi Jianmin accepted himself, "You are good people, nice to meet you." "Nice to meet you. You can call me Mrs. Brown." Mrs. Brown introduced herself. Because there were a lot of furniture and children in the car, she didn't drive very fast. However, the speed of 4 wheels is faster than that of 2 legs. In less than half an hour, Mrs. Brown stopped at the door of a police station. "It's still early, let me accompany you to report the crime," Mrs. Brown said kindly, leading the child. He Tian carried Qi Jianmin on her back and followed Mrs. Brown into the police station. The police saw a woman coming in with 4 children, 2 of whom were very embarrassed. He Tian put the matter aside and the police had recorded it. "Mr. Police, can I call my family to tell them that we are safe?" He Tian asked. "Only by seeing their families as soon as possible can they truly be safe." The policeman nodded and said, "Okay. Jianmin, sit down, I'll call home." He Tian asked Qi Jianmin to sit down before walking to the phone. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Qi Xing Cao. Chapter 377. 375. Fortunately, he had learned to use such a phone before. He Tian picked up the phone and dialed her home phone number. Uncle Sam answered the phone. "Hello," Uncle Sam's consistent mellow voice came from inside. "Hello, Grandpa Sam, I am Jenny. Angela and I were kidnapped, but we have escaped. We are at the Kira police station," He Tian said in one breath. "By the way, Grandma, Uncle, is Auntie here?" "Oh my God, you have been kidnapped," Uncle Sam exclaimed. "I will contact Madam immediately." "Sir, please hand the phone to the police next to you now. I want to have a word with the police." "Okay." He Tian put down the phone. "Sir, my family would like to have a few words with you." The policeman came over and answered the phone. He Tian couldn't hear the voice clearly, but it could be seen from the policeman's constant nodding and his back that was no longer straight. Uncle Sam puts pressure on the police. After picking up the phone, the policeman looked friendly and said, "Beautiful lady, you must be hungry now, right?" "I'm a little hungry." He Tian nodded. Since they were kidnapped at noon yesterday, they haven't eaten anything and are very hungry. Although our police station is small, we have delicious sandwiches and milk. Can you please try it?" the middle-aged policeman said respectfully. "Thank you very much." He Tian thanked her, feeling very hungry. Mrs. Brown over there saw that the police had accepted the case and contacted the families of the sisters, so she smiled and said, "Lovely girl, now that you are safe, I have to leave. Goodbye." He Tian was very grateful to this kind-hearted woman. From her clothes and the half-old furniture behind her, it could be seen that her life was difficult. Mrs. Brown, Can you please wait until my family comes before leaving, he Tian requested, my sister and I are very scared. Mrs. Brown hesitated slightly, but still nodded, stepped forward, hugged he Tian and Chi Jinmin, and said, okay, don't be afraid, I'm not in a hurry anyway. The plump Mrs. Brown has a faint fragrance on her body, which may be left by the washing powder, and her hug is very warm. Because of Sam's call, he Tian, Chi Jinmin and Mrs. Brown ate simple sandwiches and fragrant milk at the police station. Even simple food is delicious when you are hungry. Since he Tian and Chi Jinmin went to the bathroom and couldn't come out, the bodyguard outside the door asked a waitress to go in and take a look. They found that the two girls mentioned by the guest were not there, and there was a faint pungent smell inside. When the bodyguard heard this, he was horrified and hurried in. There was indeed no one inside. From the open window, the footprints on it, and the smell in the bathroom, they determined that the two ladies had been kidnapped. They didn't dare to hide it and quickly reported it to their husband and wife. As soon as Qi Shuliang and others heard that their daughter, He Tian, had been kidnapped and the red wine glass in her hand fell to the ground, they immediately called the police and asked the bodyguards to quickly track her down. Honey, what should we do now? Anna was anxious. Angela, Jane. Shuliang, you must rescue Tian and Jinmin. Grandma Chi-san was very anxious. If He Tian had an accident here, how would she explain it to her adopted son? Mom, Anna, don't worry yet. Those people kidnapped Angela and Tian probably for money, otherwise they wouldn't have bothered to take them away, Qi Shuliang said comfortingly, as long as it's not for revenge, everything else is easy. Anna thought for a while, nodded and said, what you said makes sense, but we called the police. What if the kidnappers see us calling the police and tear up the vote? That's right, Qi Shuliang said, you guys go back to the hotel first, and I'll go to the police station immediately to tell them to make less noise. It's best to act covertly. I'm not going back, I'll go to the police station with you, Anna said hurriedly and asked her to wait in the hotel, but she couldn't do it. Qi Shuliang comforted his wife and said, Anna, that person can kidnap Tian and Jinmin here and know our whereabouts. If they are the real kidnappers, they will call the hotel, not the police station. Yes, Anna responded, Mom, let's go back to the hotel first and wait for the call. These people were premeditated, and it was impossible for her and her mother-in-law to find them. If something happens to the mother-in-law again, the husband will be even more panicked and at a loss. Grandma Chi-san also knew that she was in a foreign country and couldn't do anything to help. If you don't cause trouble, you just help. Okay, let's go back. Grandma Chi-san was anxious, but she also knew the current situation and didn't want to embarrass her son and daughter-in-law. Grandma Chi-san put her hands together and prayed to God and gods to protect her two granddaughters. After arriving at the hotel, Anna sat next to the phone, waiting for the call. There were only 3 police officers in the town, and they searched with the bodyguards. Countless evidence showed that the suspicious dark car had left. The small town police were at a loss and could only apply to their superiors for help. Qi Shuliang was anxious and discussed with the police how to rescue his daughter. At night, Anna received a blackmail call. It was a strange voice, asking Anna to prepare $20 million. If I don't get the money tomorrow morning, I will vote. Anna was not stupid and said, how do you prove that my child is in your hands? Haha, since you don't believe it, I will kindly send you some photos, the person on the other end of the phone said wildly. Anna told her husband about the situation. Qi Shuliang was shocked and said, $20 million. I can't take out so much money at once. What should we do now? Anna said, what did the police find? There is no effective clue yet, Qi Shuliang said, we are still investigating. By the way, the kidnappers said that they would send photos of Jinmin and Tian. Maybe we can investigate based on this. Anna suggested that we can't just sit and wait for death. Okay, let's wait together, Qi Shuliang said in a deep voice. Now many plainclothes police have been dispatched to investigate nearby, hoping to find them. The next morning, a newspaper boy delivered newspapers with an envelope in it, which was specially for Qi Shuliang. The police questioned the newspaper boy, and the newspaper boy said that a burly man gave him $10 and asked him to deliver the letter when he delivered the newspaper. The newspaper boy calculated that an hour had passed since the man gave him the envelope. The police asked about the man's appearance, and the newspaper boy could only say his height and a big beard on his face. There were many people coming and going in the town, and they were checked one by one. However, none of the people coming in and out had a big beard. After searching the town and asking the newsboy to identify them, no one looked like the man. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 378. 376. Just when Qi Shuliang, Anna, and Grandma Qi San were worried, they received a call from Uncle Sam at home. After hanging up the phone, Qi Shuliang said in surprise, "Tian Tian has called home. They escaped and are now at a small police station called Kira. We will go there right away." Really? Anna burst into tears. She didn't close her eyes all night and was always worried. "I didn't dare to sleep, for fear of waking up and hearing the bad news about my daughter. Grandma Chi-san is old and in low spirits, but she keeps sitting on the sofa and occasionally closes her eyes." Anna asked her to go to bed to rest, but Grandma Chi-san couldn't sleep at all. Something happened to her granddaughter, and Tian Tian was also kidnapped, and she was about to die. "Really?" Qi Shuliang said, "Uncle Sam won't tell lies." "Then what are you waiting for? Hurry and pick them up now," Grandma Chi-san said hurriedly, not caring about changing clothes, and hurried out. Qi Zhengan was busy with his father, not stopping for a moment. He didn't want anything to happen to his sister, Tian Tian. With the result in hand, Qi Shuliang led everyone and drove to Kira police station. More than a dozen police cars, plus Qi Shuliang's bodyguards, etc., a group of 20 or 30 vehicles, moved quickly on the road, forming a long convoy. It took about an hour and a half to arrive at the small police station. Tian Tian, Qi Jinmin, and Mrs. Brown were chatting quietly. Anna and Qi Shuliang hurried over when they saw their daughter. "Angela," Anna shouted in surprise, "no matter what, as long as her daughter is better than anything else." "Mom, I'm here." Qi Jinmin was wearing a pair of clean slippers that Mrs. Brown took out from the ceremony. Because she suddenly stood on the ground and touched the blisters on her feet, she grinned in pain. Anna hugged her daughter tightly and cried again. As a father, Qi Shuliang was not as enthusiastic as Anna, but all the deep fatherly love was in his eyes and heart. Such a scene reminded Tian Tian of her parents in China. "Tian Tian, are you okay?" Qi Zhengan thought that Tian Tian was feeling disappointed because of his parents' actions, so he hurriedly asked, "What happened?" "That's it?" Tian Tian had already agreed with the Snake King in the barrier space, and also told the follow-up arrangements arranged by the Snake King. Qi Zhengan was surprised and praised, "Tian Tian, you are so brave." "Yes, if it weren't for you, we don't know when we would find you," Qi Shuliang said gratefully. "By the way, did the police arrest those people?" At this time, a middle-aged man who looked like a police officer came out, stretched out his hand to shake Qi Shuliang's hand and said, "Mr. Qi, don't worry, we have sent people to investigate, and there will be news soon. The transcripts of the two ladies in the house have been. When it's done, you can go home first." "Thank you very much," Qi Shuliang said, "you did a good job." Grandma Chi-san looked Tian Tian up and down, touched her head and said, "Fortunately everything is fine, otherwise how would I explain to your parents?" "Fortunately, the danger was saved, He Tian said, then looked at Qi Zhengan and Qi Shuliang. We escaped at night, but we didn't dare to hitchhike at night. Only in the morning did we dare to hitchhike on the roadside. Many cars passed by, but no one wanted to help us except Mrs. Brown. Qi Shuliang stepped forward, bowed and said, "Thank you, Mrs. Brown. This is my business card. If you need anything, you can call me. Please also leave a contact information. When you go back, I will contact you again. Thank you for You're welcome. I'm a mother of 2 children. It's just a piece of cake to do this," Mrs. Brown said, but out of politeness, she still accepted Qi Shuliang's business card, but she did not say her address. After that, I took my children and said goodbye. He Tian, Qi Zhenmin and Jimmy, Amy waved goodbye. Mrs. Brown didn't say anything, but Qi Shuliang felt sorry for herself and asked a bodyguard to follow her to find out where they lived, see what kind of help they needed, and thank them. Not long after Anna, Grandma Qi, and Qi Shuliang left with their children, the Kira police station seemed to explode. They went to check the place where He Tian reported it, and when they got inside, they found a very shocking scene. Now the villa has been guarded from inside and outside to prevent anyone from entering, and the higher level police station has sent people there. Warning, do you think it will? The young policeman asked in a low voice. It may be an accident that one person is crazy, but it is a bit strange that 6 people died at the same time. 6 people died. The scene is shocking, corrupt, and absurd. This is a major case that has not been seen in Kira town for decades. And it was such a shocking way to die. The police chief said with a gloomy face, according to the report from the client, Jenny, they came down from the window using sheets. Did you see the sheets? Are there their fingerprints and footprints on the side? There are indeed bed sheets in the window, and there are fingerprints and footprints. It's just a weak woman. From such a height. The young policeman was still doubtful. He still didn't believe that all those people had such ridiculous causes of death. You saw what those people looked like. If that girl didn't escape, do you know what would happen to her? The sheriff asked. How high can the 3rd floor be? When people are at their limit, it's the 30th floor. As long as the rope is long enough, they can still get down. But, the sheriff said, everything needs evidence. The 6 people kidnapped He Tian and Qi Zhenmin and extorted a large sum of money. As for the death of these kidnappers, it was just the inevitable result of their excessive indulgence. All the police went to investigate and concluded that He Tian came down from the window. The death of these 6 people had nothing to do with He Tian and Qi Zhenmin. When He Tian and Qi Zhenmin arrived home, the family doctor was already waiting. The doctor saw the bandage on Qi Zhenmin's foot and nodded, the technique is very professional. However, for the sake of caution, the doctor still opened it and bandaged it again when he saw that there was no problem, and dealt with the minor wounds on his body. He Tian was fine, except for a little scratch on the upper part of her arm, nothing serious. After the doctor left, Qi Zhenmin and He Tian ate something and went back to sleep. Qi Zhenmin didn't dare to sleep alone and insisted on sleeping with He Tian. He Tian couldn't bear to refuse and asked Qi Zhenmin to come to her room. The two were very tired and fell asleep soon. He Tian had the Snake King with her and had experienced a lot, so she was not too scared, but Qi Zhenmin suffered such a big pain for the first time. Even in his sleep, he still shivered from time to time. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 379. 377. He Tian and Qi Zhenmin rested. Qi Shuliang and others didn't sleep a wink all night and went back to sleep to replenish their strength. About an hour later, at 11 o'clock at noon, Uncle Sam knocked on Qi Shuliang's bedroom door. Qi Shuliang was wearing pajamas and was careful not to wake up his tired wife. Qi Shuliang came out, closed the door, and asked, Uncle Sam, what's the matter? Uncle Sam turned aside to make way for the gentleman and said, Sir, two policemen came downstairs and wanted to ask the two ladies something. Qi Shuliang frowned and said to himself, Tian Tian and Zhenmin have already taken notes this morning and clearly explained what happened. It's time to investigate the kidnapper. Why are you questioning us? Uncle Sam couldn't understand his Chinese, but when he saw his frown, he asked, Sir, do you need Mr. Smith to come over? Mr. Smith is the Qi family's exclusive lawyer. He is a very good friend of Anna's father and is also an experienced lawyer. Yes, Qi Shuliang nodded, please ask Mr. Smith to come over. After all, we are victims, and the two ladies are young and need the help of a lawyer. Yes, Sir. Uncle Sam nodded and followed Qi Shuliang downstairs. While Qi Shuliang was receiving the police, he then called Mr. Smith. The maid served delicious coffee. Two police officers, what's the matter? Qi Shuliang asked, very politely. This is his consistent upbringing and demeanor. Hello, Mr. Qi, an older policeman said, I am David William, a police officer in New York City. We found the scene based on the clues provided by two ladies in your house, and found that inside the villa all 6 people are dead. We want to ask about the situation. Dead? Qi Shuliang was stunned and asked, how did they die? By the way, are they really the murderers who kidnapped my daughter and niece? We are investigating, and we are not sure yet that they are the murderers who kidnapped your daughter and niece. Officer William replied, the matter is very important. There are some things that we want to come over and confirm again. If 6 people died, it would be a major case. Even though it was impossible for his daughter, He Tian Tian, to kill them, she was still obliged to accept police questioning. Qi Shuliang knew this clearly, so he did not show any impatience. It is the duty of every citizen to cooperate with the police. My daughter is 13 years old this year, and my niece is also very young. At the same time, they were frightened yesterday and escaped in the middle of the night. They were injured and are in a very poor mental state. Rest. Can you please wait a moment for our lawyers to come over and question the 2 children again, Qi Shuliang said without being humble or overbearing. His daughter and niece are not criminals, but victims. They need to cooperate with the investigation. It depends on your physical condition. When the police here in the United States are questioning, lawyers can be present to protect the client's rights. At the same time, Qi Shuliang was right. The 2 victims, one of whom was a minor, suffered physical injuries. Even if they were anxious to investigate the case, they could not order the victim to come forward and answer questions. Okay, Officer William could only agree and wait for the Qi family's lawyer. Qi Shuliang believed that his daughter and niece would not kill anyone, so he was not worried at all. About half an hour later, Mr. Smith came in wearing a crisp black suit and carrying a briefcase. I've kept you 2 police officers waiting for a long time. Mr. Smith was a fat old man with a kind smile. But as one of the most famous lawyers in New York, it would be a big mistake to be deceived by the smile on his face. He is just an old fox. Fortunately, we didn't wait long. Officer Williams stood up and shook hands with Mr. Smith. The 2 of them obviously knew each other. Okay, can you tell me what's going on? Mr. Smith asked, taking out a notebook and a pen to record the key points. As a lawyer, in addition to having quick reaction ability and rigorous logical ability, you also need to have a super memory. But sometimes, the brain is always unreliable, so just record it and become a Smith. Mr. Habits. Above are various simplified characters written by him, and only he knows what they mean. Officer William was extremely alert, took out He Tianation's previous record, and asked, we have something to ask Miss Jenny again. The deaths of these 6 people are very strange, and we want to find out the situation from the 2 ladies. Mr. Smith looked at it again and asked, can the 2 police officers go back first? My 2 clients are very scared, and they are victims and are resting now. When their condition gets better, I will accompany me. How about going to the police station? Officer William had already anticipated this result and it was not easy to argue. He nodded and said, "Okay. I hope Mr. Smith can bring your lady here as soon as possible." "I will." Mr. Smith nodded and continued to smile. The two officers had to leave. When he got outside, he asked, "Actually, we can ask. We cannot ask for it, and it is not something we can ask for. Remember that the two ladies are not criminals, but also victims. They can cooperate with our work if their bodies allow it, but they can refuse if their bodies do not allow it." Officer Williams said in a low voice to his colleague beside him, "Those 6 bastards were addicted to drugs and had promiscuous sex. The forensic doctor has confirmed it and confirmed that they died of an overdose of hallucinogenic substances. They were not. Those 2 ladies did it? In that case, let's..." The younger policeman was puzzled. Since the forensic doctor had identified it in this way, why did his superiors come here all the way? "Haha," Officer Williams smiled, "if you can understand, you are already sitting in my seat." After that, he got into the police car and left. Mr. Smith thought for a while and crossed himself on his chest. "I'm sorry to hear that the 2 ladies were kidnapped. Fortunately, God bless them and let them come back safely." "Yes, God bless," Ji Shuliang said. "What do you think about this matter?" Mr. Smith smiled and said, "Don't worry, both ladies are noble ladies and innocent victims. Yes, if my nieces were not in better health, they would not have been able to come back safely this time. We searched in the tourist town all night and found nothing. Unexpectedly, they had been transferred to Karachi." Shuliang said sadly, 2,000 $10,000 US, even if he could have such a small amount of money, it would be very difficult to withdraw cash within one day. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 380. 378. Mr. Smith nodded and said, "Miss Jenny is a brave girl." "Yes," Chi Shuliang replied affirmatively, "the 6 criminals are dead." "Do they suspect that my niece and daughter killed them?" "Obviously so." Smith nodded and said, "It's normal for a fool to overdose on drugs with 6 fools. That's a bit unnatural. I read Miss Jenny's transcript. Miss Jenny came down from the 3rd floor. At the same time, I also rescued Angela. She is a little girl and usually does not have that much power, so she will be suspected by others." Chi Shuliang couldn't help laughing when he heard this. "What's wrong?" Smith County was very puzzled and didn't understand why Chi Shuliang was laughing. If they knew that Jenny could eat as much as 2 adult men by herself and could carry 100 kilograms, they wouldn't have any doubts. Chi Shuliang replied. He had seen the transcript at the police station before and had no doubts at all, but forget that others don't believe it. His son Qi Zhengan struggled with He Tian, but he couldn't last more than 3 seconds and was defeated. "Ah," Mr. Smith was surprised and immediately smiled, "that's it? I didn't expect such a beautiful and soft Miss Jenny to be so strong." "Haha, yes, I didn't believe it at first. Later, when I saw Jenny doing exercises in the gym, I believed it." Chi Shuliang said, "That is a good child. In such a dangerous situation, it was very brave to rescue my daughter." "Yes," Mr. Smith agreed, "I'd better wait. When Miss Jenny wakes up, I want to ask her a few questions." "Okay, it's lunchtime soon, let's have lunch together," Chi Shuliang invited. "Mr. Smith is a trustworthy person." He Tian had a good nap, her stomach was empty and she was a little hungry. She looked up at the time and saw that it was already 2 o'clock in the afternoon. No wonder she was so hungry. Qi Zhenmin had a slight fever due to a foot injury, but he had taken medicine and continued to sleep. He Tian got up, washed briefly, changed into a dress and came down to look for food. Mr. Smith was playing chess with Chi Shuliang. He Tian came up to say hello and then went to the kitchen to find the maid for food. After a while, He Tian brought out 2 large plates of food to the dining room. Mr. Smith looked at it and smiled slightly. If Miss Jenny can finish so much food, then I will believe it even more. Haha, yes, just watch. Qi Shuliang smiled, with a doting expression. After a while, He Tian ate 2 large plates and drank 2 glasses of milk, feeling a little full. He Tian sent the tableware to the kitchen, rinsed her mouth, and came to the living room. She planned to go upstairs to rest after greeting her uncle and the guests at home, but she was stopped by Mr. Smith. Jenny, Mr. Smith has something to ask you, Qi Shuliang said. You have to answer seriously. Mr. Smith will accompany you and Angela to the police station later. He Tian was stunned and said, oh, if Mr. Smith has anything to say, just ask him. The arrangements made by the Snake King before have been imprinted in her mind, which is equivalent to her own memory, and she is not afraid of others asking. I just want to ask how you escaped, Mr. Smith asked, looking at He Tian gently. He Tian said it according to her memory without thinking, just like in the transcript. Can you swear to God that everything you say is true? Mr. Smith asked seriously. Haha, God is too lenient. But since Mr. Smith asked this, He Tian raised her right hand and said seriously, I swear, everything I said is true. Mr. Smith nodded and said, that's good. When you get to the police station, just stick to this statement. If their questioning makes you uncomfortable, just say you are uncomfortable and don't wrong yourself. Mr. Smith was worried that He Tian, a little girl, would be at a loss when faced with the police's questioning, or that she would think of bad scenes before, which would have a bad impact on her heart. He Tian nodded and said, thank you for reminding me, I will remember it. Then why don't we change clothes now and call Angela so we can go to the police station? Mr. Smith asked kindly, with a very sincere expression. He Tian knew that Mr. Smith had probably been here a long time ago, and the reason why he waited until now was because he cared about her and Qi Zhenmin's health. Now that she was up, there was no need to keep an old man waiting. Okay, wait a moment, I'll change my clothes and come down. He Tian smiled, facing Qi Shuliang. Mr. Smith nodded, turned, and went upstairs. After He Tian went up, he saw that Qi Zhenmin was sleeping soundly and still had a slight fever, so he didn't call Qi Zhenmin. Anyway, the girl had been in a coma and didn't know those things. He Tian changed into a white dress and wore half-heel sandals inlaid with rhinestones. Her long hair was tied into a neat ponytail with 2 pink hairpins on her head. I just simply wash my face, rinse my mouth, apply some moisturizing oil on my face, and carry a small pink bag with a handkerchief, a palm-sized notebook, a pen, a small pack of tissues, and a wallet. And 2 band-aids. When Qi Shuliang saw He Tian come down, not only his daughter Qi Zhenmin asked, where is Zhenmin? He Tian smiled and said, Uncle, Zhenmin is sleeping. She is finally stable. She still has a slight fever, so let her rest at home. Anyway, Zhenmin has been in a coma since kidnapping Miu. When she woke up, we were already escaping. Halfway through, she didn't know anything. Oh, Qi Zhenliang nodded and said, then don't let Zhenmin go. Otherwise, I'll be fine. Mr. Smith and I will accompany you there. Grandma Qi-san told He Tian not to wrong her before she left. He Tian responded repeatedly. There was nothing to be afraid of. On the contrary, the Snake King had already wiped out the situation. All she had to do was do as the Snake King said. Qi Shuliang and Mr. Smith accompanied He Tian to the police station. Sitting in the interrogation room, Officer William sat on one side, Mr. Smith, Qi Shuliang, and He Tian sat on the other side. Thank you very much, Mr. Qi, Smith, and Miss Jenny for your cooperation with our work, Mr. William said gently. Sitting next to him was Tom, the little policeman from before. Mr. Smith nodded and said with a smile, one of my clients, Miss Jenny, is already here. If you have any questions, you can continue to ask. As for the other girl, she is unwell and cannot come here. Please forgive me. It was the doctor who gave Angela the diagnosis. She has a low fever, her legs are injured, and she needs to rest. Thank you. We deeply regret that Miss Angela is unwell. Officer William thanked him and took out 6 photos from the document bag. Miss Jenny, do you know these 6 people? He Tien took the photo and looked at it carefully. In fact, she knew 2 of the men in it, the 2 who took photos of her and Chi Jinmin, but she had already said she was unconscious before and had never seen these people, so shaking his head, I confirm that I don't know these 6 people. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 381. 379. He Tien put the photo on the table. I still follow what the Snake King said before and don't change. Qi Shuliang took a look and saw that the man above looked familiar, so he asked, is this man's name Cress Fisher? Officer William was stunned and asked, yes, Mr. Qi, he is Cress Fisher. Do you know this person? Qi Shuliang nodded and said, yes, I know this person. He is the adopted son of my wife Anna's distant aunt. It's just that he made his adoptive mother angry to death because of drug abuse 3 years ago. My wife was very angry at the time, but she forgave him and let him. He went to manage a farm in Texas and there was no contact for a long time, and we didn't know he was in New York. Then who is more familiar with this Cress Fisher or your family? Mr. William asked. According to our previous inferences, those people could easily kidnap the 2 young ladies in your family. It is obvious that they knew, that's why your whereabouts will be so smooth. Qi Shuliang had this suspicion before, nodded and said, I don't know who it is yet, but I will have someone cross-examine me when I get back. Please, Mr. William asked, looking at He Tien again, Miss Jenny, when did you wake up? He Tien thought for a moment and said, about 7 or 8 o'clock in the afternoon. After I woke up, I untied the rope and escaped with my sister. Did you hear anything at that time? Mr. William asked. I heard the roar of the man below and the frantic music, He Tien replied. Did you go out through the window? Mr. William asked. His question sounded illogical, but this was intentional. Yes, He Tien said, because it was on the 3rd floor, I tore up the sheets, connected them together, and put my sister down first, and then I went down. Do you know how much Miss Angela weighs? Mr. William asked, finally getting to the point of doubt. Qi Shuliang and Mr. Smith looked at each other and saw that this was indeed the problem. They did not believe that He Tien had such great strength. About 40 kilograms, He Tien replied. Where's your weight? 48 kilograms. Do you think a lady of 48 kilograms can carry a lady of 40 kilograms? And she is still in a coma? Mr. William asked. His tone was normal, but his expression was solemn. Because I am very strong, He Tien replied calmly. How big is it? He Tien looked around and couldn't find anything that could prove her strength. Her eyes fell on the table in front of her. This table looked very big, but it should weigh dozens of kilograms. Can everyone stand up? He Tien asked. Of course, Qi Shuliang, Mr. Smith, stand up. Officer William and little police officer Tom also stood up. Can you retreat over there? I'm afraid I might bump into you, He Tien said softly, like a kind-hearted little girl who is harmless to humans and animals. Several people retreated to a safe position. He Tien tried it with both hands, and then pressed the corner of the table sideways, and the opposite corner of the table suddenly tilted up. Then, He Tien took a deep breath, raised the table with both hands, and waited for the table to stabilize. After that, switch to one hand. He Tien calmed down, turned around and saw Officer William, and said, "Does this prove my strength?" Mr. William swallowed, nodded, and said, "I believe it, Miss Jenny. Can you put the table down now?" "Okay." He Tian put down the table. "Everyone can sit down." Tom, the little policeman, looked at He Tian as if he were an idol. "This is the real King Kong Barbie. I now believe that Miss Jenny is capable of doing that," William said, "and we also found footprints under the window. We compared them with your shoes and found that they were yours. We also checked the door lock and found that they were yours. It's locked from the outside and cannot be opened from the inside without a key. Now we have every reason to prove that you are the victim and have nothing to do with the deaths of those 6 people. Thank you, police officer, for knowing everything," He Tian complimented. "Mr. Chi, since one of them is a relative of your family, we must investigate carefully and ask for your cooperation," Mr. Williams said. "The death of the 6 people will be concluded based on forensic identification, but the kidnapping case has not been released yet. As a result, the investigation must continue. But now that I have a clue, the next step will be easier." "Thank you, Officer William." Chi Shuliang nodded. "I am willing to cooperate with the police investigation." By the time Chi Shuliang and Mr. Smith came out of the police station, it was already 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Mr. Smith gave He Tian a playful look before saying goodbye and leaving. Chi Shuliang kept a smile on his face, got in the car, and finally couldn't help but said, Tian, you surprise me so much." "Ha ha," He Tian giggled. Her actions must have made Chi Shuliang laugh. "Actually, I just wanted to see the surprised look on that Officer Williams' face." "Ha ha, his expressions are wonderful and rich," Chi Shuliang agreed. "I understand now that it must have been Cress this time. It's just that that person had the life to kidnap but not the money. He was a poor ghost." "Evil will be punished," He Tian said. "Uncle Chi, after you go back, you can find out who is in contact with the person named Cress." "Yes, I will." Chi Shuliang nodded. "I'm so grateful to you this time. Without you, Jinmin probably wouldn't have been able to come back safely." "You're welcome, Jinmin is my sister," He Tian replied. Later, after investigations by Chi Shuliang, Anna, and Officer William, it turned out that Cress had seduced a maid in the Chi family and learned the information about Chi Shuliang's trip. Cress knew that Anna was rich, so he acted and directed the play himself. The deaths of 6 people have become important local social news, reminding everyone to stay away from drugs and promote a healthy life. 1 week after the kidnapping case, Chi Jinmin finally returned to his previous liveliness. Grandma Chi-san was interesting. "I heard that Chi Jinmin would have cold spells at night. In the middle of the night, she took a bowl and asked someone to open the door. She sat at the door, threw a small soybean into the bowl, called Chi Jinmin's name, and got 100 peas. 100 sounds. Because she had to do it in the dark, Grandma Chi-san almost fell down." Anna was confused and was stunned after Chi Shuliang's explanation. Although she disagreed in her heart, Anna did not show it on the surface. Instead, she thanked her mother-in-law for her good intentions, but the next day she took Chi Jinmin to the cathedral and asked the priest inside to pray for Chi Jinmin. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 382. 380. Grandma Chi-san was unhappy and depressed, feeling that she was rejected by her daughter-in-law. He Tian was so smart, she brought over a few snacks and 2 cups of scented tea, and said, "Grandma, eat snacks and drink tea." Grandma Chi-san was sitting on the deck chair under the big tree, deep in thought. "Sweet girl still hurts me," Grandma Chi-san said with emotion. "After this summer, I want to go back. No one talks here, and I feel a bit lonely." "Are you willing to leave?" He Tian asked. No matter whether Grandma Chi-san leaves or not, she is leaving anyway. After all, her parents, mother, and little bamboo horse are all in the country. What's the point of being reluctant to part with me? Grandma Chi-san said. Anna is a nice person, my grandchildren respect me, and my son loves me, but I... Okay, Grandma, I know you are complaining in your heart that your eldest aunt does not understand you. In fact, you think this way, you burn incense and pray to Buddha. Summoning souls is useful in our country of China. This is the United States, people believe in God, this is God's territory. God, I don't understand our Eastern secrets. He Tian comforted Grandma Chi-san, but the reason was a bit funny. Did you, a little girl, see it out? Grandma Chi-san was a little embarrassed, but think about it, this is God's territory, not the territory of our Chinese gods and gods. My tricks really don't work anymore. Haha, be open-minded. After all, we are a family. If we are unhappy because of this thing, it would be bad. He Tian said. Grandma, eat snacks and drink tea. Grandma Chi-san took a small bite of the cheesecake brought over by He Tian and praised, it tastes so good. I'm afraid that when I go back, I won't be able to eat these foreign things. If you don't want to go back, then you won't go back. He Tian said. She had not seen her son for more than 20 years, and she felt that Grandma Chi-san was reluctant to leave the United States. No, the fallen leaves have returned to their roots. Grandma Chi-san said with emotion, no matter how nice it is outside, it can't compare to the mountains and rivers of Kijia village, where my old man lives, and your Grandpa Chi. I owe him so much in this life, although we can't be together, but I also want to see him often in the last few years of my life. Can you let Uncle Chi go? He Tian asked back. It must be said that Grandma Chi-san's thoughts are always so unreasonable. Grandma Chi-san looked at the beautiful environment around her, smiled, and said, as long as your Uncle Chi lives well, I will be satisfied. After all, he has his own life and life. I also have my own life. At the end of my life in the past few years, I have been satisfied with finding my son. I also want to live a simple life for myself. He Tian sighed in her heart. Grandma Chi-san and Grandpa Chi, the two of them loved each other in their hearts, but they couldn't be together because of secular concepts, but He Tian believed that even if they couldn't be together, the relationship between them was still a kind of love. True love. The grandfather and grandson were eating snacks and drinking tea. Grandma Chi-san is thinking about her future life. He Tian was thinking of finding a way to meet Huo Yingzhe after returning to China. She missed Huo Yingzhe. Think very much. After Qi Zhenmin recovered, He Tian thought of the kind Mrs. Brown from before. Zhenmin, let's go visit Mrs. Brown, He Tian said. She ate and slept at home all day, and occasionally went out to listen to the theater. There was no other entertainment. Qi Zhenmin nodded and said, okay, Mrs. Brown is a kind person. Qi Shuliang never stopped his daughter from making friends with others, provided those people were worthy friends. The value here does not refer to how much money the other person has, but to the other person's temperament and conduct. The bodyguard he sent out to thank Mrs. Brown was rejected. At the same time, he also sent someone to investigate Mrs. Brown, who was a poor person, but at the same time a strong and kind woman. Mrs. Brown's husband died of illness, and the originally prosperous middle-class family became very poor. What is rare is that Mrs. Brown did not become pessimistic and despondent. She took care of her two children more carefully, worked hard, and gradually improved. Qi Shuliang gave He Tian his address, and Anna helped Qi Zhenmin prepare a large basket of food. These are all made at home, not bought in supermarkets. Grandma Chi-san also presented her own rose cakes, lily cakes, and meat floss sesame cakes. There are bodyguards following, not only male bodyguards, but also female bodyguards to protect Qi Zhenmin and He Tian anytime and anywhere, so that they will not be kidnapped in the toilet again. This is a low-rent house that Mrs. Brown can easily apply for given her family's situation. Although the house is old, the surrounding facilities are very comprehensive. There is a small park nearby and the school is also very close. He Tian knocked on the door, and Jimmy opened the door, not completely. There was a chain on the back. If it was someone he didn't know, Jimmy would close the door immediately. "Hello Jimmy," he Tian smiled. Chi Jinmin on the side also said, "Jimmy, I am Sister Angela." Seeing that he knew someone, Jimmy opened the door and said, "Sister Jenny, Sister Angela, hello." At this time, Amy ran over. Her round, red face was particularly cute. "Sister Angela, Sister Jane, please sit down," Amy said sweetly. "Mom has gone to work and won't be back until evening. My brother and I are at home." "That's it," Jenny nodded after hearing this. "It's great that you can be alone at home. But if your mother is not at home, how will you prepare your lunch?" "My mother prepared a lot of bread, cakes, cookies, and milk for me." Jimmy said that his mother had to work, so he usually took care of his sister at home during the summer vacation and reviewed his homework. He Tian looked around. There were 3 small rooms. The living room was not very big, but it was very warmly decorated by Mrs. Brown. "Since Mom is working, we won't go to her. I'll make lunch for you." "Okay," he Tian smiled and said. "Children are very cute, especially sensible children like Jimmy and Amy." "That's great," Jimmy said happily. "Since she wants to do it, let's make Chinese food. She's not very good at making Western food. If you want to make rice, Mrs. Brown doesn't have a rice cooker at home. There is no rice, but there is flour, so let's make dumplings." He Tian asked her bodyguard to buy some celery, carrots, ham, fungus, beef, and other vegetables while she made noodles at home. There is a supermarket not far downstairs, which contains these commonly used household items, and I bought them quickly. Jimmy, Amy, and Chi Jinmin helped choose vegetables, and he Tian did the cleaning. In a short while, the fillings with delicious color and flavor were ready. He Tian rolled out the dough very thinly, and then taught Jimmy and Amy how to make dumplings. Because they might not be good at wrapping, he Tian prepared to make pan-fried pancakes, which were more delicious than dumplings. 1 and 3 children were laughing and making dumplings at the same time. It was very interesting. When he Tian saw the cute Amy, she thought that she and Huo Yingjia must have more children in the future to make up for the regret of not having children in their previous life.